All right, guys. Today is January 19th, 2025. Come at it for a live stream, and it's been a little crazy. So just hopefully I'll make it the hour. And if you see my post on Instagram and Facebook and everything, you know what's going on with it. So, it's been a rough January. It's been a rough, probably a week. I don't even know, because last live stream, I told you that my stepmom passed away on the 10th. And now Friday morning, Milo, my cat, passed away in the house. And if I get emotional, I apologize just because you never know how it hits you. Sometimes I can talk about them and talk about the situation and it's okay. And sometimes I can't and I break down and I'm sad. And we'll see if I want to go into detail or whatever about it, but it's not a fun thing. If you've ever lost a pet or lost a loved one or lost anything, it's just sad. It's just being home and a daily reminder. Like, this is the first live stream since Friday, obviously, that when he passed away. And now we just have Otis. And it's just one of those where it's really quiet in the house. Because Milo used to make a lot of noise. And it was just my wife, Otis, Milo, and myself here. And now Otis is going to keep banging the door that's there too. So we'll have to see how he does. So if I have to get up and get him away from the door, it'll be there because he's here with me now. And my wife's at the salon or whatever, getting her nails done. And so, yeah, he's already going to be banging this door. It's going to be a rough hour. But, yeah, so we're trying to make it through. It's only a cat, but it's one of those things where we love the guy, and he was like a son to me. And like my child, because I've had him for 17 years. And he was just turned 17 this past summer. And if you know the books, he's in there. And I was writing the book series this morning, my next series, and it's amazing how stuff comes up in my life, and I add it to the book series and everything, and it's just a nice, just way to, I guess, honor him and remember him. So we were watching football yesterday, and you kind of just go through your day-to-day stuff. Oh man, he's banging. Otis is banging on the door, so if you hear some banging, it's Otis. But ultimately, hopefully you're doing well, and we're carrying on, and we're gonna make it. But it was a rough morning because he passed away. Like, he wasn't doing well since the cold weather. And then one day he was up, banging on the door, running around, and he was okay. And then the next couple of days he wasn't. He probably had an infection. We took him my wife took him to the vet on Thursday, got antibiotics, did all this stuff, and we're like, oh, he just has an infection. We'll take that. We'll give him that. We'll feel this. And then Friday morning, it was one of those things where he just, my wife and I are convinced that he waited for us to wake up that Friday morning. Because when I saw him Thursday night, and he was sitting there on the tile, and he wasn't, doing well. He was struggling, but I was like, maybe the antibiotics will make him feel better. And I told him at night, you can go, and if it's your time, then I'm going to miss you, but I don't want him to suffer. And that's the hardest thing, is to know that I don't know if he was suffering or whatever, but he was struggling to breathe, and he was respiratory infection. When I first got him as a kitten so many years ago, 17 years ago, 17 and a half years ago, he had an upper respiratory infection. I had to take him to the doctor, get antibiotics, and I was feeling that's what he was going to do. He was going to get better with antibiotics. And so I was hoping that would be this case. Hold on, I have to get Otis. He's really banging on the door here. Here, stay with me for a second. You want to say hello? Here. So this is Otis. He's our guy now. But say hello. But he's with us now to kind of bang on the door and to be a part of it because he's usually in the other room when we were doing these. So, all right, you gonna be good? All right, I love you. So he's probably gonna go bang on the door again, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it is. I don't think you were here for the live streams when I was able to bring Milo on there because it was nice. It was nice to have that too, and I have a couple of videos that I'm gonna probably make ideas just to honor him on there too. And it's a couple people have reached out over Instagram and Facebook, and it was really nice, and I appreciate that. And like Diana says, they're like our children. She lost 3 dogs over the years, and I'm sure you think of them and you have pictures and you think about stuff, especially if it's the same house that you were in, and there they were too. So, and Jonathan says he lost 3 Yorkies growing up, so he knows what we're going through. And I'm not trying to say an animal is more valuable than a human or whatever, but if it's impactful for your day to day, like I used to see Milo every day. I was telling my wife, I had him for 17 and a half years, and there was 2 months when I was in Alabama for one of my rotations that I didn't see him at all because he was in Florida and I was in Alabama, and somebody was watching him and looking after him. But other than that, besides vacations, saw him all the time, saw him every day, and so it changes everything. It's like it's a routine that comes around, and you're like, yeah, it's a big change. It's a drastic change that I would be coming home and open the door, and there he is. And it's definitely something that he would be on the sofa, or he would be in the window in the sun, like right now. And it's only been, 2 days since it happened. And it gets easier because when we lost Callie, I made videos about it too, and I think I did a live stream and I was talking about it, and that was another tough one. And she was around the same age. Like, it was kind of interesting how they both played out, where she went to the vet, we took her to the vet, they gave her antibiotics, did whatever, and then the next day she was gone. Milo, same thing. Took her to the vet, gave me antibiotics, did all that. Next day, he was gone. And, I think about him all the time. I have some photos of him that I put into a picture frame. Him and Otis, actually. So we have Callie and a little bit of Milo in those. And then we have a separate picture frame collage thing that's Milo and Otis together. And I'm glad I put that up last year. So I don't know if it was the universe telling me that to be ready for it, or I don't know. And so just things are playing out in my head on there too, because I can't help to get away from it. And so that's what we were going on with. Watched the football games yesterday. Can't believe the Commanders beat the Lions, and I thought the Chiefs would win against the Texans, and they did. And so But thank you, Brooke Pitts, Tim, Negan1, John, Mahmoud, Diana, Adrian, and Zenith, and everybody else joining as we speak. Appreciate you guys taking the time here. Mahmoud, I have heard about the serious LA fires. It's big, huge news, obviously, and that's another terrible thing going on. And it's not fun to be dealing with that, and your world be turned upside down, to lose everything. And I watched a 60 Minutes report on that. It was like 7,000 plus homes are burnt to the ground. And you just lose everything, I mean, what do you do, right? Like, do you leave? Do you own the property, right? Like, what happens to your mortgage after the house is gone? You still pay for it? Like, what do you do? I have no idea any of those situations. Like same thing with a hurricane or same with a natural disaster. You know? Yeah. Or you rebuild, right? Like John, he says, you rebuild. You could. But it just seems like those fires are there all the time now. Like it was kind of the summer drought. And now these are the winds and they got less rain. They got this on there too. And you're like, man. And I feel like they're just managing what's going on. There's no preventative measures. And hopefully this will be the huge factor that's going to be like, we have to stop this and prevent this from getting towards where residential areas are happening. Coming down the hill should be like, yeah, that's pretty dangerous. Where the fires are coming towards residential areas. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's just one of those things where, like, I don't feel like my life is over because I lost my cat. But I do feel like a big sense of loss. And there's times where I feel like my stomach dropped and I feel, sad and there too. And then you remember them. And then my wife and I talk and she gets upset and I get upset. And then we get happy and we remember so many things. And I got a couple pictures of Milo and putting stuff together and talking to my dad about him and everything. And everybody that ever met him, unless you hate cats, but everybody who ever met him was always like, oh, wow, he's so nice. Because he would always come over to you. He's a very social cat. Like Otis is a scaredy cat. And now he's on the chair next to me at the table here. And so he's doing all right. He calmed down. And, but, they're just part of the family. And it's just a loss, and that just sucks. And then losing my stepmom the week before there, and just all these things, So hopefully the year is going to start off rough, because it has, and then gets better. Or it doesn't. We'll have to see how it goes. But you got to keep on keeping on, keep a positive attitude, and just take what comes at you. So, thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. It's always tough, like when you post something on Facebook and it was just, talking about Milo passing. It's tough to or if you see anything like that too, like you don't want to like that, but I guess you put like a heart or something, like, cause you want to say like, oh, I feel for it, or you could just comment or something on there too, like, and I feel like anybody who's lost a pet, a loved one, something that you cherish, it just sucks. But there's part of it too. Like it's part of living. Anything that's alive will eventually die. It's just, yeah. Yeah, me too. Diana says she has the ashes of all her dogs. And so when Callie died, I bought a heart urn that was engraved, and they put the ashes in there. And they put these little paw stickers on there. And I bought another urn. It's a blue one, and it will have his name on there and his years, his birth and death year, and then I'll put probably the 2 stickers on there, like the 2 Paul stickers that I have, and I'll put them together because I want it to kind of match, and I wanted to find that and have it look nice, Milo and Callie and everything. Just because it's important to me to have that, look nice, and I know it's just ashes, but it's them, and we always talked about like different things, and I saw some different quotes, inspirational stuff throughout Instagram and social media, and there's a couple of different things that are going around, and people always say like, oh yeah, we only have one life, so live it up. And we're only this, and live it up, and do this, and do that, YOLO, and all these other things. And then I read like metaphysical books. Like right now, I'm reading a book called Everyday Karma, and they're talking about different things like that too. And I don't know what to believe. I'm not here to preach what it is, and it's kind of a thing that puts you at ease. But I like the idea from a quote that I saw on social media that says, you are a soul and you have a body. And that like changed. And I saw that quote pretty recently. And it changed my outlook on life. I already had a positive outlook in this, and I believe certain things. But I was like, wow, that's a crazy different mindset, right? You think of the body and the soul. And when the body dies, the soul moves on and goes to whatever you believe in. And it's like, wow, that changes everything, right? Like we're here, we're basically like balls of energy, right? And we have tissue, organs, blood vessels, ligaments, tendons, muscle, bone, like all these things. But it's not who we are. Our bodies are just a vessel for what it is. And so it was kind of crazy. It was kind of a crazy different thing. But I'm writing a little bit more now. I'm motivated. I've been super motivated, trying to find a little more time to devote towards the new book series. And hopefully to have that out in a couple months. And I'm excited to get that out and see where it's going to go. But I want to make sure it's done right, you know. I saw that The Ones Who Live was just added on Netflix. So I would assume everybody in here watched The Ones Who Live. But if you haven't, it's available on Netflix now. And I saw that the Last of Us, I believe, is April. Last of Us Season 2 is like April. And The Night Agent comes back on the 23rd. So that's Thursday, which is good on Netflix. And then a couple of shows. So I know Tim's my Taylor Sheridan guy. His shows. And we watched Landman. And I really like Landman. You know what Landman really reminds me of? It's like a mix of Varsity Blues, Friday Night Lights, Armageddon with the oil stuff, not the end of days things, but just like the oil world, this, that, Texas, football, here, there, the whole different world, cartels, like it just works. Like it's really, like it's not a big ask to talk about Texas oil, money, this, problems, it just works. And I think it's probably one of his best shows that's out there now. So we'll have to see what happens there too. And the cast is great with John Hamm, Billy Bob Thornton, Ali Larter, Demi Moore's a minimal part. Yeah, Dallas was a little before my time, but I know people loved it. And I'm guessing, because you got the soap opera feels of Billy Bob Thornton's character and Ali Larter's character, and then their daughter and their son, and they're that, and they're this. And, it's just a lot of good stuff. Like, it just really works, Yeah, I mean, it is a soap opera, but it has its little feels, especially with the cartel stuff and whatever. And it's really good. I highly recommend it on Paramount+. Adrian asks, will Rick be in Dead City? I don't think we're going to see Rick again at all. Unless it's at the very end of the Daryl story. That's the best chance to see Rick Grimes again. Because Rick Grimes' story was over. Dead City is the Negan-Maggie story. And Rick, he don't need to be connected with either of those people. I think Dead City is just a cash grab to continue the name of The Walking Dead, and also so is the Daryl Dixon Show. These spinoffs are what they are, and I'm not sure if the thing with Dead City is really going to be that useful to the show series, the universe. But the Daryl Show, I believe, was supposed to be I thought it was supposed to be the Daryl and Carol Show, and it was greenlit for 3 seasons. So I don't know where they're at in the filming of season 3, but it's got to be pretty close. I feel like they've been filming for a little bit or whatever. I don't know if they stopped or whatever on there too, what the status is. But I don't know what the future of it brings. Like, does Daryl and Carol just stay in Europe? I don't know. Like, it doesn't make sense to have that. But the Daryl Carol show needs to wrap up. It can't just end. It needs to have a satisfying ending where Daryl and Carol come home. Maybe they bring Laurent back. Maybe they bring back whoever else they want to bring back home. But I don't think seeing Rick or Michonne or anybody like that too. So I think we have 3 episodes left of What If. And besides the one with the Agatha singing and dancing old Hollywood nonsense, they've been really good. Like, the entire series for 3 seasons has been pretty good. I don't know how I feel about the Captain America Brave New World thing, because it just looks like it's the Red Hulk versus Falcon / Captain America. And I don't know, like, it's going to be like they fight and they this and they that, and they're gonna have to team up to kill Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. And you're like, all right, I'll just watch that somewhere else. I'm not going to go to the movie theater to watch that. Thunderbolts looks pretty good, but we'll see what happens there too. And I was looking at a different thing on Instagram or Facebook, and they had all these all the movies that are coming out this year, and the Superman one looks good, and it should be a pretty good year for movies. You know, I hope they did all right. I hope they're doing all right with it too. John says, speaking of The Last of Us, I just got my first tattoo on my birthday of one of Ellie's quotes. Endure and survive with her knife and roses around it. Don't worry, they spell it right. Well, you check it. Like, if you get a tattoo, they have to put the template on there too, and you should check the spelling and how you want it on there too. So, no regrets. You know, make sure you don't get that. No regrets. Zenith Q&A, do you think the statement they released recently saying Rick could show up in a way? Do you think the statement means he gets his own or appears in the Daryl? I mean, who said it, Zenith? I don't even know who said it or where it was said. If it was Gimple, you know, like, Rick could show up. Keep watching, please. Watch these crappy shows. You never know when Rick's going to show up. You know, like, that's just one of those annoying things where, like, you never know who's going to pop up. Maybe they'll show up. Maybe the Alicia and Madison will show up. And you're like, I mean, I want to see Rick Grimes again. I want to see this. But they killed the big bad that was the CRM. They built up the big bad of the CRM, and then they killed him off like that in a spin-off show. They could have continued that for so many more shows to spin it off, to connect the dots. We're still waiting for the CDC French Connection from the post-credit, or I guess the post-credits, but the last scene of the spin-off show with the French CDC that we never saw because Daryl and Carol left France to go to England. That was actually filmed in Spain, so not actually going to be there anymore. They were like, oh yeah, that could connect. It didn't. Rick's brother never showed up. Nothing showed up. No connections here. Nothing. So I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those annoying things at this point where you're like, just end it already. Just wrap it up. It's like, I just want to know the ending. If you watch something, you get invested. We need to wrap it up. And so, I mean, I'll watch the Dead City stuff, and I'll watch the Daryl Dixon show, and I'll watch anything else. But I don't know what they're actually going to do with it too. So. Zenith says, Q&A, would you like Rick having to go to Dower to stop the CRM remnants? Well, like, you could spin off a couple things, too. Like, you could have the European group that was the CRM, like it was a global thing and people were all over and someone rose to power because of that. And I could see a connecting point there too, and I would love to see a connecting point with it. But I just don't know if it will. No, I didn't hear any of that. I haven't heard any of Eminem's new stuff besides his what was it, Houdini or whatever that was, that one song that came out with the music video. But yeah, no, I haven't really listened to a lot of different music besides, at work, I put on like 80s music on our Alexa, and then it stops playing music every so often. So then someone changes the country, or someone changes the clean pop music or whatever, because you got to have that clean music at work. And so you got to make sure there's no curse words and stuff there too. So yeah, I mean, I think The Walking Dead needs to take a break. And then if they were ever going to start it up again, have a fresh... But like, The Walking Dead really struggled with content outside of the comics. The comics were the source material, and whatever they really did outside of it, like some things were kind of cool, like some of the characters that they brought in, but then they were just other hybrids of comic characters that were killed off and whatever there too. But you could do it in a way that makes sense. Like, The Walking Dead comic is not this great writing. It's not this great, awesome comic. And first of all, it's a comic book. How good is the writing in comic books? Or graphic novels, or whatever nonsense you want to call it. It's a comic book. And so the reason why it was picked up, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe was the best thing in cinemas. So that made everyone be like, what else can we do? What can we do? How can we do this? Oh, I'll take a risk and put out some Walking Dead comic stuff, or put this out. And then it did well. So then they, did the other comics, Invincible and everything else. And so there you go. Comics are good. People like comics. Ooh, there's all this writing material in there. But ultimately, the best stuff is actually writing from books. And speaking of, is Game of Thrones ever going to be finished, the book series? I mean, I don't read it, but I'm just curious. I love House of the Dragon, the first season. The second season was a waste of time, it feels like. Just dragged on forever. But, the book material, like I love Reacher. That comes back next month, and I'm excited about that. But I haven't read any of the books, because people, like some of my patients were talking about it, and they were like, "Oh, this is different, that's different," but overall, everybody likes it. So I hope that is on for a couple more seasons too. Yeah, John, I heard that TikTok was banned. I don't do TikTok. I know it was banned in the United States because I believe there's some sort of, I think it's a Chinese company that owns TikTok. And so they were worried about spying and this and whatever there too. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be put in place to avoid potential problems with hacking, getting access to stuff, and people use social media for that too. Like, I know everybody thinks like, oh, he's a TikTok person, like he has 6.5 million people. Like, why though? None of the information there is like that great. I don't even use it, but none of that stuff is that amazing. First of all, probably a lot of it's wrong, I'm guessing, and then that's one of those that's like 6 million views. Because a guy or a girl or something, whatever, are there too. And like, awesome. Like, what am I looking at? Why does that deserve all these views? Like, oh yeah, I'm an influencer. Come on down here and do all that stuff too. It's all about the influence. It's all about the connection, all about there too. And like, is there something extra behind it? Because I would assume so. Why would anybody have that as a major thing where they're talking about there too? Like, there's other better apps for communication, for just, there's better social media stuff out there that isn't run by government agencies or potential stuff outside that could potentially be harming people or hacking or doing malicious stuff or malware or whatever, potentially. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I think that's what people are worried about, and that's why it's happened. So a lot of things are, yeah, Rob, you'll have to upload your stuff on X or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. You know, your twerking videos. You know, you have to see. Jeannie says, I read an article about TikTok being strong for the music industry, but every TikTok I've ever seen was some dumb stuff like fake ghost and look at my cute kid. Was like TikTok one of those things where you can use the music from other things that go on there? So do people have to pay to use like, I don't know, if you're like, I'm going to put the thong song on and just dance around in my underwear, and, you know, people will love it because you're dancing around your underwear to a song that's kind of funny and catchy. But how does, does someone have to pay for that? Like, I don't know, like whatever. But I don't know. It's one of those dumb things. I got other stuff to worry about other too, so. Yeah, Tim. So 1923, if Spencer Dutton does not come home like in the first or maybe second episode, it's going to piss me off. Because the first season is annoying after annoying after annoying after annoying after just every episode is him trying to get home and every which way not to bring him home. But I feel like it needs to be there. You know, it needs to be him home to take care of the Duttons and just take care of his family, you know. And so hopefully you guys are doing all right. I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're loving it. If you're a Commanders fan, you're loving it. I would assume that the Eagles beat the Rams today, and then it can go either way, Buffalo or Baltimore, but I'm thinking Baltimore's going to win. Because I don't know how Buffalo's going to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and this and that. There's just too many things to stop, too many things to worry about, you know? But it's good. It's entertaining, you know? It's good on FanDuel and DraftKings and all that stuff. Hopefully you can make some money on that stuff too. Or if you're betting, be safe and hopefully you'll do your homework and win a little bit. That's good. You know, a lot of people have Chiefs fatigue. They're over the Chiefs. Because I was talking to my wife about it too. Like, Patrick Mahomes is 6-0 in the divisional round. And then I think they've gone to the AFC Championship for like 7 straight years. And that's an amazing accomplishment. If Patrick Mahomes retired today, he's a Hall of Famer and one of the best quarterbacks ever, which is crazy. And it's awesome, you know, Andy Reid and all that stuff too. But it went from like, oh, I like the Chiefs, I like Patrick Mahomes, I like Kelsey, I like this player, I like that, blah, 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 to like a lot of people are like, I'm over the Chiefs, man. I'm tired of the Chiefs. Can somebody else win? And I don't care. If the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl, they've earned it. I mean, they get some calls and they get some things, obviously, but so did Michael Jordan and so did the good players. But overall, you got to win. You got to beat them. You got to be able to do that too, you know? And so did the Patriots. They got calls. They got all this stuff too, so. And so you got to be able to just beat the teams when it matters. And the playoffs, it matters now too. Anissa says, good afternoon. I got to have a snowball fight in Alexandria with my friends. Also ran into Ross Marquand Aaron on The Walking Dead in a bar in Peachtree City. Had a great trip for my friend Marianne's 50th B-Day. Well, awesome. Well, happy birthday, Marianne. And Ross is a great guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him at a convention or a spot, he's just like a regular down-to-earth guy. Like, he's pretty cool. So that's a great trip. Peachtree City's awesome. I love that area on there too. And, you know, that could be an area where I wouldn't mind living. Maybe down the road or whatever. It's probably very expensive now because everything's very expensive. But we'll see where the world goes and maybe end up moving to Georgia kind of a thing. And because I do love Georgia. You know, I was talking to a patient of mine and she loves Blue Ridge, Georgia, and the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I was like, I would love to go see that too, you know. But you got to stay there. You got to live there for a little bit with an Airbnb or an extended stay hotel or something to see, could we actually live here? Could we be here? Could we make a date? Because going on vacation somewhere is a lot different than living there. And so we'll have to see where the world goes. Like, I feel like I'm in a transitional period right now in my life, being in my early 40s. Which is like middle age. Like, it's not 50 anymore. 50 is not middle age. The average life expectancy for a man in the United States is 78 years old. So if I live to be 78 and I die and I don't make 80, I'm over half my life expectancy. And so we'll have to see where it's going to be and everything. But now I'm feeling like I got to take the necessary steps for my friends, my family, my dad now, especially my wife, my house, my cat Otis. So everything like that. And so I'll have to see where it goes. But that's pretty cool, Georgia. I love Georgia, John says, am I ready for the Royal Rumble on the 27th? Is it this month, January? No. Oh, no, it's got to be. No, it can't be that. Because the 27th is a Monday. And it's got to be on the weekend on there too. So when is the Royal Rumble? I'm ready for that. I love the Royal Rumble. And I love WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Those are the three big things that I like to watch for wrestling. And I want to see if Charlotte Flair comes back. Because I know of her knee injury and where she rehabbed in Alabama and stuff. And I'm hoping she comes back and she does great. Because I think it's pretty great. I've seen Kraven the Hunter, Rob K, and I thought it was okay. Like, I don't know why Kraven the Hunter is getting bad reviews. Like, it's not a great movie, but it's better than Madam Web, and it's better. I haven't seen this for Atu, but Kraven the Hunter, it's okay, especially if you like Taylor or Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think his name is. He's pretty good, and Russell Crowe's in it. I watched a movie yesterday on Netflix, or 2 days ago, called Land of Bad. And it's got Liam Hemsworth, that Milo, the guy was in Rocky Balboa. And I think This Is Us, the show is. He's a good actor. The other Hemsworth brother, not Chris, but the oldest one. The shortest one, I think he's the oldest one. And then Russell Crowe's in it. And Russell Crowe's pretty funny in that movie. But it's called Land of Bad. And it's okay. It's nothing great, but... John says, sorry, I might got the date wrong. Also, they said Charlotte is coming back. She better come back. Like, I like Charlotte Flair. I like Becky Lynch. I like Bianca Belair. I like a lot of the, well, I shouldn't say a lot. Certain people of wrestlers and Charlotte, because I know watching Ric Flair, and I think Charlotte is really good acrobatically, and she's a good athlete. Like people don't realize the athleticism that these wrestlers have to have. Like, you have to be strong, fast, quick, agile, powerful. You got to have endurance. You got to have stamina. You got to have all these little things to have a long match. And it's pretty cool. And, besides her being beautiful, Charlotte is a very good gymnast and wrestler. And so there's a lot of good stuff that I want to see. Hopefully she can, do well, because it's kind of cool to see that too. Especially when you watch, like, I love watching football now, and you're watching like the sons of certain dads that were in the NFL. You're like, holy crap, that's crazy. And it's weird to think about it too. Is like all these athletes are 23, 25, 28, 29. NFL stands for not for long. A lot of these people they go into the league at 23 and they're out by 26. But the players that make it, that now, like Baker Mayfield's 29 and Travis Kelce's like probably 30. Or I don't even know how old some of these guys are, but they're probably late 20s, early 30s. And you feel like I've been watching them for a long time. But when you see Marvin Harrison Jr., and I used to watch his dad, and then we're going to have Deion's sons, hopefully in the NFL. We'll see what's going on there. It's crazy. So, John, are you asking if I've watched wrestling on Netflix yet? I have not watched any of Raw on Netflix. We were watching No Good Deed, which is like 8 episodes, and it's a nice little story. Watch that. Land of Bad, watch that. And that's really it on Netflix. There's not really anything else that until stuff comes out now. But I have not watched any of Raw on Netflix. Hopefully it's good. Have you, John? What do you think of it being on Raw? Are they cursing all over the place? Is there nudity on Raw? Like, what's going on with wrestling? Because I wouldn't think so. But I guess they could now, right? Well, but you have people in the audience and kids, and you can't just be going crazy with it. Yeah, we're doing that. Football, Hard Knocks has been good, especially with the recent week with the Steelers playing the Ravens. That's pretty cool. Dark City. Rap cases. I watched Dark City last night. Fantastic movie. It's like Matrix plus Dune. That's different. I mean, I love The Matrix, especially the first movie. Dune's okay. It's nothing great. Any of the new one, the early one. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, we're watching What If. We're still watching Silo. If you haven't seen that, we finished Landman. Definitely recommend that. And, yeah, it's the biggest things we've been watching now. Football season's going strong. It's like the good time of the year with football. National championship game on Monday. You got Ohio State and Notre Dame. I mean, I don't really care about either team. But I was hoping Texas would win, and they lost to Ohio State because Quinn Ewers couldn't really do much there. We'll have to see what Arch does next year, and hopefully he does well. Thank you, Anissa. I appreciate that. Yeah, Milo was my guy. He was my cat. He was like my boy, my son, my child. I love him, and I'm going to miss him very much, and my wife too, and we're very sad to miss him. And, just one of those things where it's a big loss because it changes your day-to-day. And we'll get through it, just like when we lost Callie. And part of Milo, to me, was I had him when I was in PT school. I adopted him 17 and a half years ago. Being in my mid-20s when I got him to now my early 40s. And it's just crazy. Like so much time has changed. And he was there. He was there through the ups and downs, the good times, the bad times, the hurricanes. And it's just like, it's just sad. That's all. My wife and we're going to be okay. And it's just, my wife said a good point is, you mourn them as much as you love them. If you didn't mean anything to me, I wouldn't care. But I do. And I did. And so we got the pictures up on there too. And we'll be okay. But I just know what everybody's feeling when you lose an animal or even a person. I lost people too, and it just sucks. But it's a part of life, and so you appreciate them, and that's why I've been saying this for so long now, and it's probably annoying to hear, but I'm like, don't wait to do stuff. Do not wait to call your mom or your dad or your friend or your sibling or whoever and tell them something. Like, hey man, I just want to call you up and be like, we had some good times, and I love you. And they'll be like, is everything all right? And you're like, yeah, I just want to make sure you're okay and you're doing well, and that I loved you this, and I love that, and I was here for you, man. You're like a brother to me or whatever. Or whatever it is, Your sister, your aunt, your uncle, whatever. Some of that means things to you. Because, my wife and I are going through it time and time again with my cat. No, I'm not gonna get any cat tats there, John. I could get Milo, like on my knuckles, right? No. I love him, but not that much, Milo. But I'm like, Because literally, I talked to him a Thursday night before I went to bed, and it's I'm gonna get emotional, but it was meaningful to me because I don't know if he really cared, and it's a cat, it's not a person. I don't know what they mean, but I told him that he could go, and I don't want him to suffer. And he waited that morning to go. You know, like, I get up at 6 o'clock. And I did then, and I walked out, and he was on the rug in the living room. And he meowed. And he like moaned. And I picked him up because I had to give him his antibiotics. You know, had to give him eye drops and I'm sorry. Had to give him his antibiotics in his mouth, and I went into the kitchen, put the thing on there, you know, squirted the 0.75 milliliters or whatever it was in there too, and he did really well. Eye drops really well. Then I was going to give him some baby food because they told me to get some baby food, which smells terrible, by the way. Like, I don't know how you feed this baby food to kids. Because I was like, man, it must taste terrible. And whatever. And I squirted some from the like syringe thing. And it was in his mouth, and he spit it out where it came out, and it went onto a little scratch post bed that he sits in. And I was like, oh, I went to go get a napkin, and I was cleaning it up, and he got up and walked out of the scratch post bed and walked onto the tile where his food was for a long time. And he collapsed, and he let out a cry. And I ran over to him, and my wife came over to him, and he was, you know, struggling to breathe, and he let out a cry. And I told him, just emotional crying at the time because I know he's dying. And then he was gone. And that was like, sorry. My wife and I are like calculating the time when I wake up, come out of the room, and my wife and I go over to him. It was less than like 5 minutes. Like it was probably like 3 minutes from waking up, picking him up, putting him on the thing, giving him his antibiotics, doing all this, him getting up and collapsing there too. And it was over like that in a blink of an eye. And it's like, wow, you know, it changed my life forever because he was gone, and he's gone. And now the house is like so quiet because he made a lot of noise. He was a very talkative cat when he wanted treats or food or whatever. Like, you know, he was not in a bad way. And he did. He totally waited. And that means the world to me. Because when I went to bed at 10 o'clock at night, or 10:30, to get up at 6, he was still alive. And he could have died at any point. But he waited to be together and to go comforted with my wife and I. You know, and I like to think that. I mean, I don't know if it was just his time or whatever, but I feel like he could control it somewhat. I mean, I don't know how it is, you know, when you're going. But he was, you know, convinced because he could have died at any other time from 10:30 to 6:10 or whatever, you know, the next morning. And so it was just comforting to go. Because I know, like, some animals go to hide and do it. And this was like the opposite. Like, he wanted to be with us to go. And so he felt okay, and it's a shame. Oh, but I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm making you guys upset or crying too. That's not my. That's not my goal here. It's just being real and transparent and honest like I've always been, And so, and I see you guys as family, so it's just nice to let it out and to do that. So, like, I'm a person who has to, like, let it out and just talk. And, I'm emotional because I guess I'm a Sagittarius Capricorn mix. And I was reading my birthday book the other day. I guess trying to find answers or whatever on there too, looking for something. And one of the things it says that people on my birthday are emotional. And I definitely am, clearly. And I don't have a problem, being real and being honest, And it's good to just let it out to the people you care about, Like I see you guys, everyone in here as family. And I care about it. I care about you guys. And it's a thing that I want you to be the same way. If you're going through things or whatever, you can talk about it here. And I think having a support system and a support group is real, It's a real thing. That's why there's groups for, support groups for everything under the sun, for losing that. And this is kind of my support group too. Yeah, Tim says, psychic mediums claim your pets will be there in heaven to greet you when the time comes. So I hope so. And I was thinking about that too, because so I've had, my first cat was when I was little, called Snow Puff. And then I had Tiger, and then I had Coco, and then I went away to school, and then we still had Coco for a long time, and then Coco died when I was in college. And then when I was in PT school, I had Milo. And Milo just passed away. And so, we have Otis. And if we get another pet or something, and because I'm like, we're going to have Otis for a while. And then that's it. I'm good. Because the plan was to have Callie and Milo. And then Callie, passed on. The plan was to have Milo. And we had Milo for 5 months. And then my wife went to the SPCA, the adoption center here in Florida, and she fell in love with Peter, which is Otis. Now we changed his name, and that's how we got Otis. And I am grateful to have Otis now, because it would be very quiet if we didn't have any cat here. But the plan was to have Callie, she goes, we have Milo, he goes, and then we get a cat or cats. Maybe brother and sister, or two sisters, or two brothers, or whatever, gotta have two. And it's definitely something where that could still happen, down the road. But, I'm grateful to have Otis now too, to be not alone. And so it's definitely a thing that's, there. And I was thinking about it too. So, so when I die, I'll have all those cats or animals there waiting for me. That'd be pretty cool. What if they don't get along? Or they? Well, I guess in heaven everyone gets along, right? Or do they? I don't know. It's like one of those things that hopefully I'll find out in 40 years. Hopefully I'll find out. Phantom Deluxe. Hopefully you're doing well. So it's all right. Better late than never, right? Well, good night on there, Phantom Deluxe. So, but this is right now what happened. I was pretty good for 50 minutes of the hour stream. And then talking about them and then just picturing them and reliving the moments, It just broke me down. And that happens every day. And it'll probably happen for the next month, next 5 months, 6 months, however long it takes. And so it's but then I feel better letting it out, because you got to let the stuff out. You can't let it build up and fester, and there too. That's how people have strokes or heart attacks or anything. You got to have a release. You got to have a thing. And it's just, and then talking about it, thinking about the good times and how it is, it helps you kind of process, or it helps me process it a little bit better too. And I'm not saying it's that what everybody should do, but you got to have some sort of release and outlet. And this was a nice outlet for it. And I'm sorry if I made it uncomfortable or sad, anything there too. That wasn't my goal. It just happens, like it's just part of it too. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm seeing more and more about life is the memories, the experiences, the activities, the moments, even how subtle they are going to stick with me more than ever, And when you get older, you're going to have some memory loss, some dementia, some things. And I wonder what gets really ingrained in someone's head. Because I remember when my grandfather died, he was 83 years old and he lived in his house. And my dad and I checked on him for a little bit. He had a caregiver that was there every so often, I think every day for a couple hours and stuff. And then we would go check on him to see how he was doing. And my dad tells me the story of that my grandfather's walking around the house looking for something. And my dad's like, what are you looking for? And she goes, my dog. And my grandfather didn't have a dog anymore. And he's like, what do you mean your dog? My dog. And he said the name, and it's the dog from when they grew up. It's his childhood dog. But to him, in that moment, he's looking for him now, not realizing that was so many years ago. And I think they say that's one of the hallmarks and one of the moments of like you're getting ready to go, especially when they start to see loved ones and see there too, But remembering the good times, remembering the stuff that is there is what it's all about. A celebration of life and not, anything that crazy. But it's just a thing that happened on Friday morning. And so I was like, it was crazy because I was waking up to go to work. And I was like, I'll give him the antibiotics and I'll do all this. And then I'll go to work and I'll come home and give him a couple more eye drops later. And hopefully he'll be feeling better. Nope. He was like, I always make the joke, like he was like, F these antibiotics. I'm out, guys. I'll see you later. But he he was like, no more of that terrible baby food. I can't do it. But it's always nice to have someone to talk to or vent and have there too. And you gotta have at least someone. You don't need a big group, but someone, a person, a singular person. And sometimes it's just one person to talk to about things. And being a therapist and there too, it's a nice way to have empathy for someone. And it's nice to know that you're not alone. Losing someone or an animal or anything, a loss, binds people, it bounds people, it connects people. It makes people feel connected in a way too, because they talk about when they lost a pet or they lost a family member. And it kind of is like, yeah, you're not alone. We're not that much different from each other or that different from each other. And so it's just a nice connecting point too. So thank you, Anissa. I appreciate that too. And hopefully you and everybody else here too know that this is a safe space and a safe place for everybody here to talk about things too. And if we get trolls, we kick them out. We're not here to cause problems and trouble and trauma and all this stuff too. We're here to connect with each other and be there for each other. It's an emotional, support group, if you will, too. So, yeah, exactly. So Tim says, we come on here Sundays because we like one another, even though we don't Even though we don't. Someone early said it's like a family. I've been here a long time and enjoy it. And that's the goal. And that's what it is too. So it's a nice thing, and to have people stick around and reach out, and maybe we stay small or maybe we get bigger. But a lot of times the bigger you get, the more problems you have on there too. And so it's kind of crazy too. So, but other than that, guys, I appreciate you taking the time and listening to me cry and get upset about it. Like I said, I apologize for that. It wasn't my goal, but it just happens. And being real and transparent is, I don't know how to do it. And I'm guessing actors have to tap into that realm of it there too. Like, be with the person and have that role of losing a son. Because if I had a son and I feel like I actually lost him, you got to tap into that feeling of sadness or rage or protection or fighting or whatever, And so it just makes sense, and that just seems real. And that's why Andrew Lincoln was a great Rick Grimes, and Norman's a great Daryl, and it's just a thing that is there too. So, but all right, guys, that's my hour. I truly appreciate it. I'll be back next Sunday. If you're watching football tonight or on Monday with Notre Dame, Ohio State for the national championship game, or other movies or shows or anything like that too, always recommend, post them and let us know in there too if you recommend anything there. But remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve those goals, your goals, no matter what they are. You can do it no matter what it is. Thank you, guys. I'll be back next Sunday. And like I said, I lost my cat Milo, but he's gone but not forgotten. And if you read the book series and you follow me on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff, you'll see Milo, because he was a real cat. And when I write him in the book, he's my cat and my boy in there too. And so that's what it is. So I appreciate you guys taking the time and listening to me. I'll be back next Sunday, and see you guys.